Now we'll bring up Gervonta Tank Davis as the
That's how you doing. Showing off for them. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. He's showing off. He ain't had none of this energy any other time. Now, no, it's not. No, it's not.
In the ring during the fight, you guys were really jawing back and forth at each other. What were you guys saying to each other? It felt like more than any of your other fights. It was a lot of jawing in the ring.
Just trash talking.
Who were you gonna call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
The rivalry between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis started with some harsh words that gained immediate attention among boxing fans. Fans were eagerly awaiting the opportunity to see Roach and Tank face off, but the story has completely changed. Rather than his fight with Roach, Gervonta Davis announced his next fight will be against Jake Paul.
My call out, Jake Paul, what's up? What up, Jake Paul?
Gervonta!
The announcement sent shockwaves through boxing circles, sparking disbelief, outrage, and disgust.
That's right, Gervonta Tank Davis versus me, baby.
Many thought the matchup was a step away from Davis's hunt for legacy-defining fights, while others said that the fight could gain mainstream notoriety and marketability considering Paul's massive entourage in the entertainment and social media worlds. Like Tim reacted to the news.
Damn, Tim Desert Storm Bradley back with some more Car Chronicles. Man, y'all heard the news just like me. Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. Exhibition. Man, I got a lot of thoughts in this big old head. I'm telling y'all, a lot of thoughts running through my mind. Man, I'm thinking about, hey, Bigfoot versus Littlefoot. Andre the Giant versus Wee Man. Man, this is gonna be better than damn Circus Olay. Yeah, they gonna look weird as hell in the ring together, man.
Tim Bradley had already indicated that Jake Paul was entering a fight with Gervonta Davis and was very unhappy with the fact that Jake Paul would be fighting a much bigger man and that this would a circus fight. He also questioned the legitimacy of Paul's boxing career, noting that he just has big names knocking on his door wanting to sign him, even though he does not have a lot of professional experience.
You see how big Jake Paul is? 200 plus pounds? Man, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Yeah, the circus continues. This is why I can't stand damn Jake Paul. This is why I can't stand him, man.
Despite the criticism, the fight has now been signed and the excitement is continuing to grow. The confusion surrounding the bout stems from the many differences between the two fighters, not only in experience, but in their very nature.
He got to fight a actual fighter now. Like a fighter.
Who was somebody you could see him fighting? Like
Me.
a real you?
Yeah.
Exactly. Play a real boxer. Well, how about the man himself, an undefeated world champion, knockout artist, Gervonta Tank Davis.
Lamont Roach Sr. had already voiced that he was disappointed in the sudden news that Gervonta Davis was going to fight Jake Paul instead of his son. He said he was disappointed because they were hoping to fight next and believed there was an understanding. He also said this twist was inevitable in boxing and they would have to reassess their next steps.
Maybe to see that announcement, given that we thought we should have had the fight for him next, but that's the business of boxing, man. Stuff like that takes place and you got to see what you're going to do going forward with it, you know what I'm saying? It's unusual, you know what I'm saying, because we had an agreement, so.
Lamont Roach Sr. wrapped it up by underscoring that not fighting again by avoiding their camp was not good for the sport. He mentioned the cost of preparation that fighters make to try to build their fitness back up. Roach assured that even if they lost, they still had a good team, and although they lost, they still had a will to push.
For months, and got postponed a couple of times, but to see it go somewhere else, you know what I'm saying, that just, it's not good. It's not good for the sport. You know, a lot of people say, oh, money this and money that, but you got to do business the right way. You know what I'm saying? You got guys on that other side, especially fighters, that take time out of their life, train, you know what I'm saying, get their coaches and sparring partners. They go different places, travel. They invest a lot of times in their career. And and it's a lot. So, you know, when they get back, they get news like that, you know what I'm saying, it does not receive well. So, but we solid. We're going to stand 10 toes down, man, and we're going to see what's next for us.
Gervonta Davis, an undefeated professional fighter and one of the most dangerous punchers in the sport today, has built himself up to a universal star on the merit of his technical skill, explosive punching power, and big stage performances. Davis possesses the ideal combination of speed, punch precision, and behavioral reactions on defense, while being able to close a fight out in spectacular fashion. Amir Khan had already mentioned that he did not agree with the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis bout, citing it as an unfair fight relating to the slimmer man's disadvantage. Khan based his opinion on the fact that promoters had put financial gain ahead of fairness, and now the sport was being treated no differently than a spectacle fight instead of a fair competitive sport of integrity. Khan even speculated that perhaps Davis agreed because of dollars and other peripheral matters.
A really bad mismatch, and you know what, whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man, I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair.
He went on to express the concern that these bouts were damaging to the sport's integrity and could endanger the lives of its participants. Khan cautioned that if a person was severely injured in a bout that was just a booking for entertainment, the consequences could be disastrous for the reputation of the sport.
But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You don't know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really.
Jake Paul signifies a shift, a new generation of crossover boxing, where viral notoriety extends toward professional warrior status. Critics have cast Paul off at the start as a YouTuber trying his hand at boxing. However, he has built legitimacy through disciplined training and legitimate competition against primarily MMA fighters, adapting to boxing. Still, Paul has not faced an elite-level professional boxer remotely close to the scope of Davis, thus making this one of the most scrutinized bookings in recent conjoined prize fighting memory. Physically, Paul brings the advantages of size and reach. He is taller and weighs much more naturally, so to lessen his chances of Tank seeing him at will, he may opt to try to lean on Tank to use his size in the clinch. Davis brings speed, timing, and ability to cut the ring off, allowing him to negate Paul's physical advantages. Tank feasts on opportunities, and he has the potential to end fights with a single dynamic shot through his counter punching. Regardless, Paul will face a fact that he has never faced before at this level. The fight represents two differing narratives pulling together in one ring. For Davis, it is a chance to widen his profile past boxing purists and into mainstream sports entertainment. For Paul, it is a chance to demonstrate that he belongs with legitimate fighters and can hang with a world-class opponent. Eddie Hearn had recently spoken about the next fight, and he clearly does not like the idea. He called it an exhibition rather than a competition, and said that it represents no true competitive value to the sport. At the same time, Hearn noted that when money is involved, it often drives that decision, indicating this fight would happen irrespective of the risk of destroying the malign reputational value in boxing circles.
One side, you have to understand the business of it. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these 14-ounce gloves. I don't know what it's going to be, but like, you know, you've got Jake, who's a 210, 220 pounder fighting a 135 pounder. A bit weird, but at the same time, you know, I can't be a hypocrite and say, if you're Gervonta Davis and you're being offered 20, 30, 40 million, whatever the number is, and you're getting 7 or 8 to fight Lamont Roach in a 50-50, what are you going to do?
While many purists will no doubt have their doubts, the fight itself promises to be intriguing. Will Paul be a serious threat with his unconventional fight pathway and physical attributes? Or will Davis demonstrate the disparity between a fully established champion and an aspirational party crasher? Michael Bisping had discussed how a win for Davis in this bout would shut up some of the critics of Jake Paul, including Bisping himself. Bisping stated Paul has been called out frequently for taking on battles in situations that are great advantages for him, and that it left the impression that the past fights were fought unfairly. This did not mean that he was alluding to fights being fake or set up, but he explained that the risk factor was carefully lowered to ensure Paul gained an advantage in the fights.
All the critics and people like myself would have to shut the hell up, because I always said he's looking for fights that were manufactured, looking for fights that were predetermined. And by that, I don't mean fake fights. I don't mean fixed fights. I mean fights where the odds are so stacked in his favor that of course he's going to win.
Michael Bisping talked about how Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis weighed differently. He noted the tremendous difference in size and weight raised serious questions of fairness and competition integrity. Bisping wondered how a man could proclaim that he is seeking the best challenges, then goes and accepts a fight with a gap of that size, and also said it was veering toward exploitation and not a fair fight.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Michael Bisping continues and stresses the need to earn respect in boxing by fighting a legitimate challenge, not a mismatch. He explained the real challengers are those that provide genuine motivation and drive fighters to prepare at their best. Playing a person with much smaller dimensions, he implied, would not provide them with true credit with their peers or fans, which not, and it lacked the complicating factor of danger which made great fights. Russ Anber has been vocal in his critique of the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight, questioning how as humans and major platforms can allow or sanction a fight so fundamentally unbalanced.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand how even a company like a streaming service like Netflix gets even behind something like this. How an athletic commission, because now you have to wonder what is the integrity of an athletic commission that you're allowing a cruiserweight to step into the ring with a lightweight, how you're allowing a lightweight to do that and avoid, you know, his mandatories and the fights he has to make and the other guys. And
he even called it a spectacle, but framed it around celebrating the cash made from the event rather than a sporting activity. And he did acknowledge that he was holding this view out of respect for the sport of boxing, but the sport needed to be first considered from a skill and fair matchmaking perspective rather than looking at it as merely a spectacle to make profits from.
And again, I know it's about a question of money that, you know, it's just like, well, this is easy money. Because I'll tell you what, if if Gervonta Davis hits him, you know, there could be a problem here. There could be a serious problem because this guy can really fight. So I just don't even know how we're looking at that in this day and age where you're just putting on just freak sideshow circus type fights and we're supposed to be behind it and say, yeah, this is good. Maybe I'm just from another era that I just don't see it that way.
Eddie Chambers had reflected on how the rise of social media had generated timing that resulted in a fight like Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. He gave Paul some credit for what he actually did. However, Chambers said that this was way past the extreme and that lots of people thought Davis was just too small to fight.
It's crazy to think that something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what it's created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. He's gotten a lot of fighters and, you know, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot, so I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing and what he's created. This is a little crazy right here. It's a little crazy.
The chaos is real, and the boxing world is on fire. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis has split fans in half like never before. Some say it's the boldest crossover in combat sports history, a spectacle that could rewrite the game forever. Others call it a dangerous freak show, a circus fight that risks everything boxing stands for. But love it or hate it, this war is on. The only question is, will it make history or leave the sport in ruins? So tell me, where do you stand? Is this the fight that changes boxing forever, or a sideshow that should have never happened? Smash that like button, drop your fire in the comments, and subscribe for the real punches behind the biggest boxing battles on earth.